Hi. Thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube channel. I'm Reverend MeeLing, also known as Reverend Susan MeeLing, Lady MeeLing, Lady Dori, Belle, a few others. So, I'm going to talk about funny scuba diving stories. Ish. Because I didn't get my scuba certification until 2009. However, in New Jersey, when I grew up in New Jersey, people would walk along the jetties and go scuba diving off of that. There were also a few different boats that were out past where the buoys were, and some of those guys would go scuba diving, but I didn't usually go mess with those guys. Not that I was messing with anybody, it was just one of those, I was really curious as a child. So, one of the times that I remember, was there was a guy who had scuba mask on and his scuba gear, and I think it was a dry suit. Now that I'm thinking back, because I don't think it was a wetsuit. I think it was a dry suit. The Atlantic area of the ocean is kind of a little bit cold the further north you get, so there is that as to why it might have been a dry suit. I didn't know that term back then. I'm just gonna go off of now in 2020. So I went initially to go swimming because I was like, oh, I want to go swimming. But then I saw the scuba divers. I was like, oh, I want to go. And so by that point, there had been multiple times where I had swam out and I just didn't find the scuba divers. So I'd just go swimming. And, child's attention span. And so, look, and so then I saw this one light and I was like, oh, there's the fishy, because there's a few fish that I would go swimming with that had a little light near their face. And just, oh, look at that little snuggle, little fishy. And little fishy. Because I'm weird like that, but I'm not the only one, and I know that. Nonetheless, go out, and I'm swimming, and I see the light, and I'm like, oh! So I go swim up, and it was a scuba diver, which was a surprise to me, because it was one of those, well, I thought you were going to be a fishy, in my thoughts. And so I went to go get the light the way I normally did as a child when going and swimming. Got you. And, I for a very long time had thought that I was not the only one who could do that. I realize at this point I might have been the only child who could do that. Nonetheless, swam out, and I was just went to go see the fish, and apparently it was a scuba diver. And so when I went to go get the light, the guy, because the air bubbles from the regulator and him screaming, and I gave him back his regulator, because that's what it's called. So that way he could breathe. Put the binky in his mouth. And you need that to breathe. And then he freaked out a little bit. I don't know if it was because he didn't expect me to put the binky in the regulator in his mouth for him, or what. But it was just, you kind of need that. It does look like a binky when you think about it. A bigger binky. And so, here you go. You should breathe. And then he swam away, or scuba'd away, I don't know. And then, oh, okay. I guess I'll just go swimming. And so I had, that particular time I was wearing, it was a shiny blue, or shiny purple top for my bathing suit, and a shiny golden color bottom. In reference to my bathing suit at the time. I think I was in, I think I was in, I think I was in kindergarten. Or it could have been a time when my babysitter took me to Pointe Pleasant Beach. It might have been. No, I think actually that was when Sunny or Sonia took me to the beach with some of the other kids that she was babysitting. So yeah, then that would have been like just before kindergarten. So that would have been like 1987, 86, somewhere around there. And so just I scared that scuba diver, and it's still funny. It's not funny, but it's funny because it was just one of those. I thought he was a fish. I thought he was one of the fish that I would go swim and see when I went out to the ocean. I didn't realize he was a scuba diver with the light thing. I'd seen other scuba divers, they had flashlights. That one didn't have flashlight. Well, I guess technically that was a flashlight. Nonetheless, he was so scared. It's still funny though, because, well, just is. It's just funny, because it is. And so there was a couple other times when going out swimming, specifically at Pointe Pleasant Beach, but there had been a couple times at Sandy Hook where go run out and go swim past the buoys, jump around on the net, you know, whatever. Just go swimming. It's the ocean. Go swimming. And, you know, I mean, I had fun. I wasn't being mean to the scuba divers. I just wanted to see what they were doing. And so, just went swimming. And, you know, when there were times where there weren't scuba divers nearby, well, then I just went swimming. And, you know, I went swimming with the fishes. On my own. And I could make fun of that because I was born and raised in New Jersey. And so I took myself swimming with the fishes. And I swam with different fish. I didn't get in trouble. Because that's usually how certain individuals go swimming with the fish. In the East Coast. I just went for fun. And oh, look at the little fish. I mean, then again, what I consider to be little, it depends. I mean, back then they were little babies, little teeny tiny baby fish. And I mean, I'm only a little bit taller now, comparatively. I'm only 5'4". So, you know, cute little fishies. So then there was this other time. So I was just out swimming, and I had noticed these bubbles on the surface. Now I gotta talk about that, because that one's funny. So there was this one point in time where I was in scuba class in 2009, and one of my teachers had said, you look for the bubbles on top of the water. And I looked at her and I was like, do you mean the foam or do you mean the bubbles? She goes, well, you mean the foam. And I'm like, oh, never mind. I'll just stop. I won't go into that one. However, which bubbles? And so she pointed to the bubbles that were coming up, and I didn't say this out loud. I may have actually. Nonetheless, in my thoughts, it was, well, that makes sense. That makes so much sense now. Because when I would go swimming off of the coastline in New Jersey at the beach, and there were a few times where I was playing on the buoys and playing on the nets, where I was confused because I saw bubbles the way essentially I was shown in scuba diving in 2009. And I was like, well, what is that? Because out there, I mean, there are waves, but not the same as when you're on the shoreline, because you have the incoming tide and then the outgoing tide and stuff like that. And so it just was confusing to me, because where I was when swimming out in the ocean when I was a child, you didn't really see waves in that vicinity. You dealt with, just a little bit of emotion, but you didn't really have the waves in regards to when on the shoreline. So seeing bubbles coming up as a child, it was like, well, what is that? I'm gonna go see. Pun intended, I was in the ocean. It's also known as the sea. And so I went and dove down. Funny, it's called scuba diving. And went to go see, but I didn't always find where the bubbles were coming from. There was one time that I went down, and it was not a scuba diver. That was definitely not a scuba diver. No. I would not a scuba diver. I think the terminology is a submarine. I think that is what it's called. Because I saw the bubbles, and I was just, what is going on? I am so intrigued. What is that? And so, go in, and I just kept swimming and swimming and swimming. And then, I hit something. And then, kind of pushed myself back. And there was, I guess, metal. I guess. And then I heard, inside. Because apparently, whatever. And so it was just one of those. I don't see anything. I just see, like, this black thing. Like, the color black. And what is going on? What's ding, ding, ding? Because what is this thing? And then I heard, and then I was amused. Because it was like, well, how is it making that noise? Ding, 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 ah! Ding, 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 ah! And at that time I was a child, so, I kind of have a similar mentality, probably because of that imagery on Palm Sunday in 2000. Nonetheless, ding, 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 ding. Ah! What was that? What is that noise? And so, just swimming along with, and it's like, what is this thing? And I think it might have been a submarine. I think so. I think it was a submarine. I think so. Because there was, I heard a bunch of pitter-pattering of feet inside. Now, like, I have the words. At that time, it was just, well, what type of fish is this? I have heard tummy rumblings from fish before. Not like that. Because, you have the gurgle, gurgle, gurgle sound, and not pitter-patter, 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 pitter-patter. And then yelling. Oh, it might have been. Hi, Navy guys. Hi, Marine Corps guys, and hi, Coast Guard guys. No, it's a little bit late, but I apologize for scaring you guys. If you were in that particular submarine. Because, yeah, that was me going ding, 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 ding. What's going on? In whatever summer that was, That I know I was wearing, I think it was a solid green bathing suit. Though I don't know if that's really helpful, having been under the water. But it was funny because it was just one of those, well, what's going on in there? And then there was a click, click, click sound, and it was one of those, what is that noise? And it came from one side and not the other side. And that was a little bit nerve-wracking. So I was like, so I'm just going to go swim elsewhere. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I heard a click, click, click. So I'm gonna not be near that with the click, click, click. I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna swim in a different direction. And then there was a sound, and I was like, oh, I don't know what that means, but I am definitely knowing that that is not a fish. So I was swimming, and then and then I don't know if it was, well, I don't know if it's really gravity or whatever, but then my feet were on something, and it was kind of, to say it was slippery and being in the water, I mean, I don't know. So, just one of those, well, I guess I'll just, and so I pushed myself off of it and went upward because I needed to get air. And so swam back to the surface. Saw a couple fishies along the way. And then, got to the surface and got some air, and then swam back to the netting because I had gotten a little bit far away from where the netting was because of seeing the bubbles. And so, it was no big deal. My camp counselors didn't notice. That's probably not necessarily the correct thing to say, but I was back in the 1980s and later in the 1990s. A few different times. So, just what's the big deal? And so there were a few other times where there was this one time, and this definitely was not a scuba diver. I know that for a fact. I think at this point it is called a underwater robotic camera. And so I had gone swimming. Just swimming. And I ran out off of the shoreline and went swimming, and then went past the buoys and the netting, and then went and, I was just doing a bunch of diving off of the net. It was just one of those, well, I'm gonna go swim. and I'm weird, I know that. Nonetheless, I decided I wanted to go deeper. So I went and I got I do not recommend this to those of you who are not good swimmers. So I get on the little bucket part of the buoy, get my feet positioned and stuff like that, and dealing with the waves of the ocean. It's like, okay. Calm down, because the waves were getting a little bit much, and it's like, so then it kind of just stopped, and it looked like glass on top of the ocean, and I was like, okay. And then I dove in, and I did a deep dive, or I guess it's a free dive, whatever. And so go down, and I saw this light. Well, caught my attention, obviously. So I swim closer to where this light is, and I go to, because I thought it was one of the fish. And so I go and I just kind of, what's that attached to? Because there was like this cord that went somewhere, and I was like, well, what's this thing? And just kind of moved it around a little bit, and then there was a noise, and I was like, I don't know what that is. That's not, why are you doing that? And then I threw it. Like, I was a child. And then I heard it, and I looked, and then the cord that was in what I'm guesstimating was a camera went upward, and it was quite taut. It was not, flowing. And I'm like, oh, I guess I threw it a little hard. Whoops. Huh. What's up there? What is that? And then I swam upward. And it's just one of those. Well, I literally followed the cord because I was like, well, what is this thing? What is it attached to? So went and swam up to, and then there was like this door that was open, but it was in the bottom of whatever the thing was. And I was like, I'm not going in there. Nope, I'm not going to do that. Nope. So then I swam around, and then there was this like, almost like a big bubble, but it wasn't a bubble. I guess that's probably a windshield. And so, or is it an ocean shield? I don't know, because, being in the ocean is because the windshield is for a car. So is it an ocean shield? I don't know. Nonetheless, there were 2 males inside of whatever, and just, well, what are they doing? And there were all these little things, little, I guess, gadgets or whatever in front of them, and they had lights on them, and then these little handles and levers, and I was just, well, what is that? And then those 2 guys started screaming, and I was like, well, I didn't mean to scare you, so went to the surface. My bad. Wasn't trying. One guy had his hair in a ponytail, and it was a lighter color hair, and went to the surface. Just kind of went swimming around. So yeah. While some might not have realized at that time, hi, I swam a bit. And so, in regards to how fast I could swim, I will give a more recent example in comparison to when I was a child. So I have prior official YouTube videos of mine where I, essentially walk out, but I'm in the ocean because I swam a little bit, but I was still walking, because there were points when I was just walking out to the Lexington, the USS or USNS Lexington in Corpus Christi in this year, 2020. And so just went out there. And so that was me walking-ish, swimming-ish, while talking and holding the thing so that way my phone didn't get wet from a distance that was shorter than the buoys. And so, pretty much you can envision how fast I could swim out to the buoys and the netting off of the East Coast. Though there's also the example, which I didn't use my official YouTube video thing, when I was at Clear Springs Scuba Park. when I got back to the state of Texas, the 4th of July in 2019, and I went swimming at Clear Springs Scuba Park. And I mean, I was just playing. I wasn't actually like speed swimming or anything like that. I was just, so from one side to the other and back. I was just a slow swim. That's all. Just a really slow swim. So, and realistically, it took me probably about the same time-ish. Maybe a little bit less time going from one side of the lake to the other at Clear Springs Scuba Park than it took to get to Lexington. And I was walking. So, you know, if that's a big deal. So, you know, I was just swimming. That's it. So, but I've had a few experiences as a child before my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000 with doing that, swimming out. I wasn't told that I couldn't swim out to the buoys as a child. And I wasn't told that I couldn't swim out to the netting as a child. I was told I couldn't go into the Vandenberg, but I wasn't told that I couldn't land at the bottom of the ocean. I wasn't told that I couldn't swim around that vicinity in the Matthias Abyss. I wasn't told that. I was told I couldn't go into the Vandenberg. I did not go into the Vandenberg. I was not, so in that regard, I was not told that I could not go swimming out to the buoys as a child. I was not told that I could not go see what the scuba divers were doing in the Atlantic area of the ocean. I was not told that I could not do certain things. And so, you know, I wasn't told that I couldn't touch the scuba diver's flashlight, but at least I gave him back his regulator. See, I'm nice. He was scared. He was very, very scared. Gave him back the regulator, though. You know, whatever. So, that's just a few examples of that. I was at one point in time asked if I was born as a lawyer. The irony with that sort of aspect. If that particular teacher in one specific reference had he had an issue with me with candy. One day he told me I couldn't have peppermint candy. So the next day I had spearmint candy. And then he told me that I couldn't have spearmint candy. So I brought in Milky Way and then Snickers and Skittles. So it just went on for 2 weeks. Then he demanded a parent-teacher conference with my biological parents. And each of those days, were you born a lawyer, Susan? No, I was born as me. I was in Catholic high school at that time. And so, I would guesstimate there might be some scuba divers and others who might hypothetically be able to agree with that particular teacher a little bit. However, I'm just saying, I was told that I could not go into the Vandenberg. I was not told I couldn't go into other areas. And so I did not go into the Vandenberg. I went into the other areas. I was not told, in reference to when I was a child, I was not told that I could not go swimming to the buoys. I was not told that I could not go swimming deeper. I was told at that time, go swim in the ocean. So by technicalities, I went swimming in the ocean. I wasn't told how deep I could not go past. And so I stayed within the limits of what I could do. There might be a few people who understand a little bit better why I call it the ornery PSA. Because I'm just a smidgen, just a teeny tiny bit, a teeny tiny fairy sized bit ornery. Just saying. That was before my head injury. Palm Sunday in 2000. Just pointing that out, you know. I'm just saying. And so, I did not mean, nor did I intend to scare any of those scuba divers, or apparently submariners. I know it wasn't funny then. It is funny now, though, because it was funny-ish then. It really was, especially with that one where I went to go, because I thought, because, like, there's one of the fish in the area, you know, anytime that I would get to see him, and the little, you know, light that I tried explaining to MAST, Marine and Science Technology School. Although apparently marine biologists do not like the term fishy, because that's all I could explain it as at that time. There was no scientific name for it. It's apparently called the anglerfish. Nonetheless, I tried describing to it was during my last interview at MAST, Marine and Science Technology School, the one with the Naval Academy. And they had asked me certain things as far as like why I wanted to go further. I had explained partially the military aspect, but also really went into the aspects of the ocean. And they were like, well, which part, da, da, da. And I was like, well, there are some fishies out there that are just so cute. They're just such cute little fishies. That is probably where I did not answer correctly at that time. Because, yeah, there was one guy, he was in a suit, which is not uncommon in that vicinity, and a tie, and he had a white shirt on. It was a button down. And he had, so I'm just gonna, he had his, you know, little notepad and he's writing and stuff like that. And then I said fishies, and he goes, excuse you? What did you just say, young lady? It was what his response. Oh, fishies. No, fishies. You know, there's this one, and he, okay, so there's a guy and he's like, so explain what you mean by fishies. And I was like, oh, there is this one cute little fish. It's so cute. It's got a little light. And I go and I see it and I swim out in like summertime. And he's got these teepees, which again, that probably was not the ideal term to use. And the teepees go like this, and it's so cute. And he's got these little gills, and he's just such a cute little fish. He's just so cute. He's got this little tail that goes like this, and he's so cute. He got a big old belly, and he's so cute. That would be where I did not get into MAST. I got all the way up to that third interview after taking the aptitude test and all that sort of stuff. That was what I realize now. That would be where I was not allowed to go into MAST. But later they found that fish I was describing to them. Well, at least somebody did. So yeah, it's called the anglerfish. Two-fish. So cute. It is such a cute little fish. I mean, there are cuter ones that I've gotten to see since then, especially scuba diving. But oh, that one was so cute. Wow. And little light. So cute. But yeah, so you know. Kind of scared a few individuals I wasn't intending to. But hello. They were so cute, little fishies that I got to go swimming with. And I mean, you know, it is relative in regards to what I find to be cute little fishies. Because, like, for example, that particular fish right there on the other side of whatever that thing is called that the American flag is on, that thing, that his face, just his face is from the side. Oh, well, I guess I should pull it closer. So there's this little fish right there. He's so cute. And his face is from here, as you can see, like right here, all the way to the top of whatever that thing is called that's holding the American flag. You're such a cutie. Such a cute little fish. He's so cute. I mean, I did, you know, give him the warning, don't come at me, because if I have to punch you in the face to defend myself, I will. And he listened. He did. Don't know what's wrong with her. Anyway, and then that is such a cutie. But then there was the one, and I realized at this point, I essentially kind of, in a different way, wrote about it in reference to that book, Failsafe, in regards to the whiteboard. Because when I felt like I was being pulled backwards, I turned and looked, and it was just white all across as far as I could see from that side all the way across in the ocean. That was just one little TV. So cute. So cute. Yeah, like, actually, you know what? That one little TV was probably longer than the Lexington. Because when standing out there after I had gone walking on that pathway for one of my first official YouTube videos for my YouTube channel, that's about the, because when looking from side to side, I was just, and that wasn't even at the gum line. The little TV, the little fishy. That was just it was closer towards the point. It was closer towards the point, nowhere near the gum line of that one TV. Mm-hmm. He's a cute little fishy fishy. So cute. But yeah, that one closed its mouth and then went back downward more in the Mathias abyss from where I was. That one did. Mm-hmm. That one listened. Its mouth shut. Saw its little nose. Again, relative in that regard. And then I went back down a lot further. It's such a cute little thing. It's so cute. I find things that aren't necessarily the most normal thing cute. I do not deny that. I have not denied that. I think the platypus is cute. I've thought that for a very long time. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite animals. Mm-hmm. It's like cute. Little webbed feet are so cute. It's so cute. Which is interesting because the platypus is a scientific anomaly. Nobody understands how that came to be. It is such a cute little animal. I mean, and it is. It's literally little in comparison. But yeah, it's like, I cannot be the only person who finds the platypi species to be cute. I cannot be the only one. I know that I am not the only person who is just, they're so cute. So, you can take that in consideration for... And my son said I couldn't do anything scary. He was being a teenager at that time. However, if at that time, when he had made that challenge, in reference to failsafe when I was writing it, if he had understood at that time, cute little fishy, you get back down. You better shut your mouth. If my son understood that, then he probably would not have said that, how could I write anything scary? I guess by technicalities, I just did it. So... just saying. I know I'm a little bit different. Hopefully in a good way. Hopefully it's a good thing. Nonetheless, yeah, cute little fidgety. Yeah. So I've had a few experiences before getting involved with scuba diving officially with scuba divers. And it really was. It's still funny. Because, I could see his eyes. And when I went to get the light, that was when I realized that was not the fish that I was accustomed to swimming with. And just... just big ol' eyes. That might be why I draw eyes only. I just realized that because I can only draw eyes. I mean, I can kind of draw clothing-ish, but the details when it comes to eyes is really detailed. When it comes to clothing, I can paint all sorts of stuff. Drawing, on the other hand, it's only eyes. I only draw eyes. I don't know. I've never understood it. Maybe that's why. For one of the many reasons. Many, many, many reasons why I've only drawn eyes. But that could be one of the reasons, because I definitely saw that guy's eyes. They got really big. And then all the little bubbles. I'm a little weird. So, you guys have a good one. Hope you enjoyed. Comment, like, share, and subscribe to my official YouTube channel. Have a good one.